congratulations to you both. I really, really enjoyed the film. How are you feeling being here, being able to speak about it today?
Feeling good, like it's always nice to get to this point, where you've seen it with a couple of audiences. We did a bit of a kind of minor film festival tour kind of leading up to Halloween, and it's the release is right around the corner. So it's been good to start seeing it get out to the world.
Yeah, agree. It's a little scary.
I mean, it's a horror. It should be a little scary.
Fun and a little holiday warmth,
Yeah. This part of the process makes me feel like I'm going to throw up a little bit, but it's okay.
Is there going to be any opportunity to see the movie with audiences this coming around?
Yeah, we're doing a thing on the 10th at the Draft House. Tyler and I are doing a Q&A that night. And tomorrow we're showing the movie to the film program at USC. Which should be fun. And then, see what happens.
It'll be out for audiences to enjoy.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to see how people react. I truly didn't know what to expect going in and was just pleasantly surprised by everything. So I'd love to get into some of those details about it. I mean, the concept and what inspired you to create It's a Wonderful Life. Can you just talk about that a bit?
Yeah, I've always wanted to make a Christmas slasher. I love Christmas movies. I love horror movies, and I love Christmas horror movies. Black Christmas is like one of my favorite movies of all time, not just horror movies, but in general. And then I always wanted to do that. And then I had so much fun making Freaky and kind of doing a mashup there that when I sat down to kind of think of ideas for a Christmas horror movie, I just said, let's do another mashup. And immediately thought of It's a Wonderful Life. Holiday favorite in my household growing up, my dad's favorite movie. He passed away 5 years ago. So I also had a little bit of an emotional connection to the process, to the idea of being like, oh, this could be something to connect with my dad, even in a weird way. So yeah, that's kind of the genesis of the whole thing.
I have been noticing that it's been kind of this thing going around where we take a classic and just add children. I mean, I've seen a couple and they're always so fun to experience. Why do you think audiences are really drawn to seeing like these, classic films, but then adding a killer to it?
Well, first of all, it's just super fun. It's, but I think the biggest thing is like, there's a familiarity to it, right? So like, there's an extra layer that you don't get in other movies because you're kind of taking another movie that already exists and doing some stuff with it. So there's a familiarity already for the audience. So they're kind of in on the joke from the get-go. And they're also kind of in the know too. The thing I love about these movies is if you've never seen Freaky Friday or Back to the Future with like Totally Killer or It's a Wonderful Life, you understand what's going on. But if you have, you kind of get like an extra, like you get an extra, like you're like inside the joke a little bit, like, so, and I think that's super fun for audiences to kind of have the extra layer when they're watching the movie, and they're just fun. They're a fun riff on the familiar tropes of genres. So yeah, I think people just have a lot of fun with them.
And even like It's a Wonderful Life is a bit of a riff on like A Christmas Carol. And so like, like back then, so this idea of kind of like mashing up different things in kind of unique and fun ways is just an interesting way of kind of like, getting people to buy into the concept, and then you can sort of take it and make it unique in other ways.
And they're easily pitched. When you say It's a Wonderful Knife, people know exactly what you're talking about.
Exactly. I do love the play on words with the titles. I mean, I definitely think that's a selling point for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
And Tyler, just going into making this kind of movie when you're kind of pulling from different genres and different movies that already exist, is there a challenge that you don't want to go too far and pull too much information from any of these classics?
I mean, not really. I mean, we definitely when I kind of came onto the script, like it was really not like a beat for beat remake of It's a Wonderful Life. It was just kind of borrowed that sort of kind of magical wish trope that's in a lot of different stories, and not maybe most prominently in It's Wonderful Life. But like I looked at a lot of things that had kind of those sort of scenarios where characters find themselves in like a nightmare version of their life, like we even looked at stuff like Mr. Destiny, which is like a weird kind of like Jim Belushi movie, where he like, he sees a life that, was, that he didn't have. And there's a lot of stories that are kind of like that. And so I tried to, pull from, like a couple of other inspirations more. Like I love like a lot of Edgar Wright stuff. I think he really balances a lot of like horror and comedy very well. And so we talked about that as kind of like how scary should it be and how, heartfelt should it be, and trying to get that balance right. And but we wanted it to be a bit of a satire of Hallmark films and things like that are like very wholesome, like in what it, and a lot of those like bad guys are pretty unhinged. And for me, a lot of the jumping off point of like the style of it was like, well, what if the Hallmark villain just went crazy, and then so the first act of the movie really has that sort of vibe to it. It's like a people are acting in a certain timbre. It's a bit enhanced and we're kind of playing with that a little bit, but then it sort of goes somewhere that it hasn't been before. And I like that. A lot of movies that I've made and stories that I've gravitated towards kind of have that sort of commonality of they set you in this set of expectations that you feel like well, and then take you somewhere else.
Absolutely. I love what you said with the Hallmark movies, because you can definitely see where you're playing on those tropes, but just pushing the boundaries of how far we can really go with these kind of storylines. And I do just have to say that Justin Long in this film is just so eerie. Like it's amazing what he really brought to the character, and just being able to be so off-putting the entire time.
Yeah, it was really fun to kind of create that character with him. Like he definitely was up for like some pretty big swings. And so he had this very specific way he wanted to look. And then we sort of like shaped that together and threw around a lot of like, references about kind of like sort of these sort of scuzzy kind of older businessmen. And he had a very specific sort of very kind of soft touch with the voice and everything like that. And just had a lot of ideas. And it was really kind of fun to figure it all out with him.
And Michael, I wanted to go up to you and just talk about this. There's a beautiful queer representation that goes on in this film. And I love whenever a horror movie brings that in, but I really love how organic this one feels. So can you just talk a little bit about what this storyline means to you and how it really is adding to LGBTQ characters in horror comedy?
Yeah, I think, I love it too. I'm queer myself, so that's why it's a part of anything I do. It's just, it's like how for straight people, they just write straight characters and I just write queer characters. It's just part of my process. And, the fun thing about this movie is I had queer characters from the get-go, but then the straight white males that were involved in the movie came to me and said, make more of the characters queer. So like, I love that. That's the first time I've ever worked in that. Like I've had that happen to me as a writer. Like literally having people be like, make it gayer. And I was like, okay, I can make it gayer. And I always felt that Winnie and Bernie's relationship had this queer sensibility to it, but those two, Jess and Jane, they brought an even queerer sensibility to it on set, that it became deeper and it became more subtextual, but also more textual throughout the movie too. That was, I don't want to say happy accident. I think it was on the page, but then Jane and Jess came to us and said, can we make this explicitly queer? And everyone looked around and was kind of like, yeah, like it's already there. You two are bringing more of it to the forefront than we had ever imagined, which is just great, because it was one of those situations where everyone just kind of looked around and was like, duh. So, and I really love that it was very much a collaborative effort in that way too. So I'm really proud of how those characters spoke to the two actors and made them feel like they were being not only represented in the movie, but then had a voice for those characters because they felt like those characters were them. Jess and Jane are both queer themselves. So like, they wanted to bring their own lives into the roles, and they did, so it just, I don't know, it's hard to put it into words because a lot of it just kind of kept building and building and building as we made the movie. And as we were prepping the movie and stuff, it just got gayer and gayer and gayer and gayer and gayer. And it was, wholly embraced by everybody from the crew and the cast and the studio and stuff. So it's really meaningful in that sense more than anything, that it's been wholly supported. No pushback, nothing, like no questions asked, just like, yes. Every time it was yes,
I love everything about that. I mean, just from the get-go being like, bring more gayness. Like,
Take care. You know,
like,
Gail wasn't gay in the first draft of this.
That is exactly what everyone wants to see. And I mean, I think this movie has so much potential. Do you think you see people like Christmas Eve opening presents popping this on, instead of putting on Polar Express?
Yeah, I hope so. I think for queer folks especially, it's going to be a yearly watch. I've already seen a couple Letterboxd reviews that's like added to my yearly watch list. Yeah, I think Tyler has such a great sensibility, and we working together on this, we weirdly made this wholesome little film at the same time too. Like, it's cozy, so I feel like it's a great, even if it's a background watch, I'd be happy. Wrapping presents and putting it on, great.
Yeah, the wallpaper in the background for all the Christmas going on, like that's a lot of what a lot of Christmas movies kind of end up being. But yeah, it was it was definitely fun to kind of like see people kind of really get into it. I mean, the goal as a director for me is always trying to get people to kind of invest, because like often you're just kind of coming in and doing your own little, it's such a group effort and everyone's kind of doing their little slice. And so I'm really excited when you end up, casting people like Jane and Jess, who really we're like, well, what can we do that's best for the movie? And then and would definitely like bring a ton of ideas, and you can really see them, kind of take ownership over it in a way that you don't always get out of younger actors, especially. And so, it was really, really great to see.
I did want to ask, just in the theme of the entire film, do you have any special Christmas traditions that you do with your family?
I mean, we always watch It's a Wonderful Life. Christmas Story was a big sit down. I have there's 7 kids in my family. I'm the youngest of 7. So when I was younger, there was definitely the 9 of us would sit down and watch A Christmas Story. I'm from Cleveland, and it was shot there. So that was like a sense of pride for my parents, especially. And then typical traditions, but the biggest one is just tons of Irish food and music on Christmas, weirdly.
Yeah, we always play Scrabble. It's pretty low key, but it's
That sounds fun. So now it's going to be, for your family, Michael, like a double feature with, you're going to watch It's a Wonderful Life and then It's a Wonderful Knife.
It's a Wonderful Life, It's a Wonderful Knife, and Christmas Story.
Yes.
Yes. Pink tracksuit in the movie is a call out to the Easter Bunny and Christmas Story.
Really?
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. So there's other movies we played with too. So yeah, it'll be a nice yearly watch. My family's getting ready to rent a theater in Cleveland for the opening day too. So it'll be fun.
Maybe we'll get them on a double disc, like a double Blu-ray release.
Exactly. Like this is the kind of branding that we need.
There we go.
On the shelf at Walmart, that's what we need.
And then my last question, what movie do you think needs a horror twist next? Because I was right before this, I was kind of feeling like I was trying to think of how I would do Grease with a horror.
Oh my God.
Sure. Yeah. I mean,
but I'm no writer. I didn't have the plan yet.
I can't think of a specific movie, but the genre that needs it is the rom-com.
Okay. I would be interested to see that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you both so much. Congratulations on the film, and thanks for chatting with me.
Thanks, Caitlin.
Thank you.